I'm pretty good at Apex, you're pretty good at Apex, the randoms suck at Apex, but who is the best at Apex? Hello, I'm FirePug. If you guys are new, first of all, welcome to my channel. Also, if you aren't already, I'd really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing. Solely for you, helps me out a ton. I appreciate every single subscription and also helps get more Apex Legends content like this on your YouTube feed. Without further ado, we're getting straight into the video. So we're talking about the all-time greatest Apex Legends players. Now, Apex Legends is actually a fairly old game now, almost 3.5 years old already. Since it released the first week of February back in 2019, it's already the middle of June of 2022. Man, does time fly. So over the course of Apex Legends, we have to pick one singular person who has demonstrated the skills and the talent to be named the all-time greatest Apex Legends player. And by the end of this video, we are going to have an answer. Let's rewind time back to the winter and spring of 2019. Game was fresh, new faces were starting to emerge, but the bigger Fortnite players and Call of Duty streamers were still dominating the Apex Legends scene. There were a couple of names that were starting to shine through. Perhaps the brightest was, of course, Dizzy. Now, if you're a newer Apex Legends player, you probably don't really know much about Dizzy. Dizzy now streams Valorant primarily. I don't think he's played Apex Legends a whole lot recently, but over the last year he has played the game every now and then. Early on, Dizzy made a huge statement, carrying Ninja himself in Apex Legends and absolutely blowing any competition completely out of the water. I mean, the man was literally playing Apex Legends 2 months after its release better than I'm playing it now 3.5 years after its release. Absolutely insane what he was able to do. I'm sure he'd be able to pick up the game right now and still hit Masters by the end of this season. Eventually, Dizzy did take some time off from Apex Legends just for his personal mental health and all sorts of good cool stuff like that. So he did pretty quickly fade out of the Apex Legends scene. However, definitely never forgotten. Any OGs know who Dizzy is and who Dizzy was. Dizzy played alongside ACU and More on NRG, both two big names. More, also similar to Dizzy, was really big back in the good old days of Apex Legends, however slowly stopped playing the game and only plays it frequently now. ACU, on the other hand, stayed popular, almost more of a variety streamer now. However, when looking at that NRG squad, I would say ACU has the better chance at being named the greatest Apex Legends player, simply because he was there in the beginning, he's there now, he was there during all the in-betweens, showed dedication, and showed he's just that good at the game to continue to play at a super high level. Now, the OG NRG squad is not the only OG squad I'm going to talk about. Of course, we cannot skip past perhaps the greatest squad in Apex Legends history. That is TSM ImperialHal, TSM Reps, and TSM Eberelli, who a couple years later was replaced with Snipedown, who about a year after that was replaced with, of course, Verholst. Now, you can definitely put Snipedown in that conversation. He's pretty OG and has been there for quite some time, competing at a super high level. However, I want to talk about the OGs, Eberelli, Hal, and Reps. First of all, Reps, always sort of been more of a background character, but definitely heavily underrated. One of the best players to ever touch the game. Eberelli, he's been on a whole bunch of different teams, and it's probably because a whole bunch of teams want him on its roster. Also, somewhat underrated, however, a little bit more on the popular side, but that's for a good reason. He's incredibly talented at playing this video game. Lastly, I want to talk about the one, the only, the CEO, ImperialHal. And we don't call him CEO for nothing. He maintains top of the Apex Legends Twitch charts and has for, ever since the Poland victory, basically. Perhaps one of the best IGLs in the competitive scene. But there's really one thing that separates ImperialHal from the rest of the people we've talked about so far. When you think of ImperialHal, what video games do you think of? And I'm actually asking that question wrong. When you think of ImperialHal, what video game do you think of? And that is Apex Legends, because he only plays Apex Legends. He doesn't take breaks to play other games. He doesn't take breaks from competitive. He has never once dropped Apex Legends, and he's been on the Apex Legends grind every single day. Not literally every single day, the man has a life, but every single day since Apex has been out, ImperialHal's been on that grind. There are others that have done the same, of course, but nothing compares to ImperialHal's passion to be the best at Apex Legends, and he's had that ever since. Ever since they won the Poland tournament, it's been a steep uphill climb for that entire TSM squad, but especially ImperialHal. And I'd definitely be watching for him in the upcoming ALGS Championship as well. However, I did mention earlier that ImperialHal maintains the top Twitch charts for Apex Legends. Now that isn't entirely true anymore. There's a new challenger. Recently, by recently I mean a couple seasons ago, Nickmercs picked up playing Apex Legends. Since Nickmercs has started playing Apex Legends, he has soared to the top of the Twitch charts, which isn't much a surprise. He's a huge streamer in general. Doesn't matter what video game he's playing. But what surprised me the most about Nickmercs is he started playing off the game. Alright, he sucked. He sucked for a long time. It was bad. Like, for as good he is at other video games, it took him a while to get good at Apex, but he gotten good. He got good actually pretty fast. I mean, the man already has a squad and is competing to qualify in the ALGS Championships. It's absolutely insane. I've never seen anyone go from nothing to something so legitimately talented at Apex Legends, and that was just a big surprise for me. Now, is Nickmercs as good as TSM ImperialHal at Apex Legends? No, he's definitely not. TSM ImperialHal, I'm going to be honest right now, is the greatest Apex Legends player of all time, simply because he's been there this entire time. He's literally been the face of Apex Legends on Twitch and in the competitive scene. He's been incredibly successful, the most successful in the competitive scene. Always hits Preds. Like I said before, he doesn't take time off. He is the definition of the Apex Legends grind. And no matter how much Nickmercs starts playing Apex Legends, there's no way he can compete with the experience that ImperialHal has at this game. Now, there are some honorable mentions I didn't talk about. Of course, I'm sure most of you are aware of all the top Twitch streamers, a lot of the main competitors in the ALGS. And of course, there's a huge Japanese scene as well, with an incredible group of Apex Legends players over there. I skipped past the Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 era, and honestly, to be fair, I mean, most of us know Deltouche is just a funny guy and a caster of the tournaments, but back in those days, he was on the kill grind, and he held the leadership charts for an insanely long time. When I started really playing Apex Legends, Deltouche was #1 on the charts for it must have been 2 months straight, #1 on the charts for kills. And the man still gets Predator without a single problem nowadays too. I also didn't even mention the EU scene or the Apex scene, and over in Europe and in Asia, I did mention Japan, that's part of Asia, I know, but in that especially Europe region, there is a huge surplus of incredibly talented players. I mean, walking into the ALGS Split 2, I was really surprised with how strong some of those EU region teams are. But at the end of the day, the answer is quite simply and obviously ImperialHal. This is all I got for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you later.